Hello, everyone. Hope you had a wonderful week. Here is the euro. Now, we had a surprise move, I would say, by most accounts. Most were surprised by the overall move in the dollar, and who really would have thought that we would have seen that type of a break up to the upside, obviously. But let's just go ahead and focus on what we're seeing here. So let's look at the euro on the weekly time frame here. We basically had a extremely weak close to the end of the week here, looking for a rejection of these 1.1430s. 1.1430s should see another push, maybe back down to around the 1.1288s. Now, looking back in time, you can see here that there was a significant amount of chopping going on here in this area. So again, we could see a little bit of a bounce from this area back up above the 1.1420, 1.1430s, and see another push back up into around 114 or so. But there is a lot of work that needs to be done, and in fact, I will be sitting on the sideline just waiting for the confirmation before I go ahead and enter. And if you're wondering if I took a little bit of a beating on Friday, yes, I did. I did end up getting stopped out pretty hard. Let's just put it that way. So that being said, it's always good to have a stop loss and to cut further bleeding, because this would have been, for a very, very painful move had I held on to the position and not had a stop loss in place. So you have to know when to let them go, and that's why stop loss is a beautiful thing. So the result may not be, but again, it's always best to be prepared. So here we are looking at some chopping action here, rejecting those 114.30s. Still could see another push to the upside here again. We'll see what happens with the dollar. Definitely a wait and see type of a situation. But once we do put the lows in, again, I'd have to go back to the weekly time frame for that overall move. But the RSI is definitely quite weak. That goes back to what I'm seeing with the dollar index. Overheated RSI as well. So again, do we see some chopping action here? Sure. Looking at our hourly time frame, let's go ahead and just jump back to that. We are still predominantly in this downtrend here. As you can see, we've continued to do the same type of flag action to the downside. And again, the RSI is trying to get something to going here. Could see another smack up to the 114.30s, another push back down to around the 113.90s. We'll wait until I see some kind of confirmation here, but ultimately looking pretty weak for the euro. Dollar is due very much so now, more than it was last week, for a pullback. And again, if that dollar continues to squeeze to the upside here, looking pretty bad for the euro. Could continue to go down sub 113, down to those 112.80s or so. Again, very much so a wait and see type of a situation. Do not just hop in blindly. Wait for confirmation. That's all I can say here as far as that's concerned, and waiting to see when we do get outside of this downward spiral that we seem to be in right now. So again, and even right now, the euro is looking to kind of push again towards the downside. So we'll see what happens here. Probably looking at another push towards those lows. Might even break them and head down towards 113.40, 113.20, and then another bounce back up could ensue. And then we'll see how far that chopping goes before we do actually, well, before at least I go ahead and re-engage into the marketplace here. But again, looking at our daily time frame, you can see that this was a heck of a breakdown here. Still looking pretty weak and looks for further bloodshed to the downside.